I sat in the glass conference room, my heart pounding as the CEO walked in. 3 months of late nights, early mornings, and countless cups of coffee had led to this moment. The automated customer analytics system I had built could save our company $200,000 annually. This was my shot at recognition, at proving I belonged here. But when CEO Gregory called the meeting to order, he did not say my name. He said Derek's, my mentor, my friend, the man sitting beside me with that strange, confident smile. And in that instant, I knew something was terribly, terribly wrong. Before I tell you how I expose this fraud, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next proves that documentation beats deception every single time. Now let me take you back to where this nightmare began. I had been working as a junior data analyst at a mid-sized software company in Austin, Texas for 2 years. The office sat in a sleek building downtown, all modern glass and steel, the kind of place that made you feel like you were part of something important. Our analytics department was small, just 6 people, which meant we all knew each other pretty well. The environment felt good, supportive even. People helped each other out, celebrated wins together, commiserated over difficult data sets during lunch breaks. Derek Richardson was our senior analyst. He had been with the company for 5 years, and everyone trusted him. He had this polished, professional demeanor that made clients feel confident and managers feel secure. He wore button-down shirts that were always perfectly pressed, spoke in measured tones during meetings, and seemed to know everyone's birthday. When I first started, Derek took me under his wing. He would stop by my desk with advice on how to handle difficult stakeholders, share shortcuts for our data visualization tools, even grab coffee with me to discuss career development. I felt grateful. In those early days, having someone like Derek in my corner made the learning curve less steep. He would review my work before I submitted it, catch mistakes I had missed, suggest better approaches. It felt like genuine mentorship, the kind of relationship that helps junior employees grow. I trusted him completely. Then, 3 months ago, everything changed. My manager, Amanda, called me into her office on a Tuesday morning. She was the director of analytics, a sharp woman in her 40s who had built our department from the ground up. She got straight to the point. "Marcel, I have a project for you, an independent one." My pulse quickened. Independent projects were rare for junior analysts. They were usually reserved for people who had proven themselves, who could be trusted to deliver without constant supervision. Amanda explained the scope. Our company worked with thousands of clients, and we collected behavioral data from 5 different sources: website analytics, mobile app usage, customer service interactions, purchase histories, and social media engagement. Currently, our team spent 3 days manually pulling data from each source, cleaning it, cross-referencing it, and then producing analysis reports. It was tedious, time-consuming, and prone to human error. "I want you to build an automated system," Amanda said, leaning forward. "Something that can pull all 5 data streams, integrate them, clean them, and produce preliminary analysis in under 2 hours. If you can do this, we will save 300 hours of labor per month. That translates to roughly $200,000 in annual salary costs we can reallocate to growth initiatives." The numbers were staggering. This was not just a project. It was a potential game-changer for the company. "Can you do it?" Amanda asked. I swallowed hard. "Yes, absolutely." She smiled. "Good. You have 12 weeks. I want weekly updates. Show me you can handle this, Marcel, and it will open doors for you here." I walked out of that office feeling 10 feet tall. This was my chance to prove I was more than just a junior analyst who ran queries and formatted spreadsheets. This was my opportunity to build something that mattered. That afternoon, I ran into Derek in the break room. I was so excited that I could not help but share the news. "Amanda just gave me a huge project," I said, grinning, "building an automated analytics system from scratch." Derek's eyes lit up. "Marcel, that is fantastic. I am so proud of you, buddy." He clapped me on the shoulder. "You are going to crush this. If you need any guidance along the way, my door is always open. Thanks, man. That means a lot. Seriously. He said, his expression sincere. You have got real talent. I have been telling Amanda that for months. This is your time to shine. I believed every word. The next 12 weeks became a blur of relentless work. I started arriving at the office at 6 in the morning, often before the cleaning crew had finished. I would make a pot of coffee in the empty kitchen, sit at my desk while the sun rose over the Austin skyline, and dive into code. The first 2 weeks were pure research. I studied different integration methods, compared database architectures, read documentation for APIs we would need to connect with. I filled 3 notebooks with diagrams, flowcharts, and technical specifications. Every evening, I would organize my findings into a Google Doc, methodically documenting my thought process. Weeks 3 through 6 were the heavy lifting. I wrote Python scripts to pull data from each of the 5 sources, tested different approaches for handling inconsistencies in data formats, and built a centralized database structure that could handle the volume. Some nights I did not leave the office until 9 or 10 at night. My apartment became just a place to sleep. My social life evaporated. But I did not care. I was building something real. During weeks 7 through 10, I focused on integration and testing. Getting 5 different data streams to talk to each other was like conducting an orchestra where every instrument was slightly out of tune. I would fix one connection only to find that it broke something else downstream. I ran hundreds of test cases, adjusted algorithms, optimized queries. My eyes burned from staring at screens, but every small success felt like a victory. Throughout this entire process, I maintained meticulous documentation. I was not just coding blindly. Every decision I made, every problem I solved, every milestone I reached got recorded in my personal Google Docs. I also sent Amanda weekly email updates, detailed reports on my progress challenges I had encountered, solutions I had implemented. She would respond with encouragement and occasionally suggestions, but mostly she let me work independently. Derek checked in regularly too. He would swing by my desk every few days, ask how things were going, look at my code on the screen. At first, his visits felt supportive. He would offer feedback, point out potential issues, suggest optimizations. I appreciated the input. He was the senior analyst after all. His experience was valuable. Because I trusted him so completely, I shared everything. When he asked to see my architecture diagrams, I sent them over. When he wanted to understand the logic behind my data cleaning algorithms, I walked him through every step. I even gave him access to my Google Drive folder where I kept all my project documentation. It felt natural. He was my mentor. Mentors were supposed to see your work, guide your development. Impressive work, buddy, he would say, scrolling through my code. You are really going places. Those words fueled me. Validation from someone I respected made the long hours feel worthwhile. I was not just building a system. I was earning recognition, proving myself to people who mattered. By week 11, the system was nearly complete. I just needed to fine-tune performance and run final integration tests. The finish line was in sight, and I felt proud of what I had created. Week 11 was when things started feeling strange. Derek's visits to my desk became more frequent and more specific. He would ask detailed questions about the most complex parts of the code, the algorithms that handled edge cases, the optimization techniques I had used for query performance. "Can you send me that algorithm documentation?" he asked one afternoon, leaning against my desk partition. "I want to learn from you. The way you handled that recursive function is really clever." I did not hesitate. I forwarded him the entire technical specification document, complete with code samples and explanations. Why would I not? Sharing knowledge was what good teams did. But other things started feeling off. Derek, who had always been a strictly 9-to-5 guy, suddenly started arriving early. I would get to the office at 6 in the morning and find him already there, coffee in hand, working at his computer. He also began staying late. A few times I left at 9 o'clock at night, and he was still in the office, his desk lamp glowing in the dimmed workspace. It struck me as odd. Derek had never been the overtime type. He had always talked about work-life balance, about leaving the office behind when you went home. But now, here he was, putting in hours that rivaled my own. One day, he pulled me aside in the hallway. "Hey, quick question. When exactly are you presenting to Amanda?" "Next Monday," I said. "She scheduled a final review meeting to see the completed system." "Perfect," Derek said, nodding. "That will give you the weekend to prepare. You nervous?" "A little," I admitted. "But I feel good about what I built." "You should," he said, smiling. "This is going to change everything for you." Looking back, I should have questioned why he cared so much about the exact timing. But in the moment, I just thought he was being supportive, maybe planning to wish me luck or help me prepare. Friday afternoon, 3 days before my scheduled Monday presentation, I received an email from Amanda. My stomach sank as I read it. "Marcel, I need to reschedule our Monday meeting. CEO wants a big presentation next week about departmental innovations, and I need to coordinate schedules. Can we meet Thursday instead to review your system? Thanks for understanding." Disappointment washed over me. I had been building toward Monday for 3 months. Waiting an extra 3 days felt anticlimactic. But I understood. When the CEO wanted something, schedules shifted. I sent back a quick reply confirming Thursday worked for me. Later that afternoon, walking past the glass-walled conference rooms, I noticed Derek and Amanda having what looked like a serious conversation. They were alone in one of the smaller rooms, door closed. Amanda was nodding as Derek spoke, gesturing with his hands in that animated way people do when they are explaining something important. Her expression was focused, attentive. I paused for just a second, watching through the glass. Then Derek looked up and caught my eye. He smiled and gave me a friendly wave. I waved back and kept walking, but something about the interaction left me uneasy. Why were they meeting privately? What were they discussing so intently? When Derek emerged from the conference room 10 minutes later, he looked unusually pleased. His stride had this confident bounce to it that I had not seen before. He walked right past me without stopping, humming something under his breath. The final week arrived. My system was complete, tested, and ready for demonstration. I should have felt triumphant, but instead I felt increasingly anxious. Derek's behavior had become even stranger. He kept asking me to walk him through the entire project logic again. "Just want to make sure I fully understand your approach," he would say. "This is really sophisticated stuff." On Wednesday, he asked me for my Excel file containing all the test results and performance metrics. "I might need to reference this for another project I am working on," he explained. "Your methodology could be useful." Again, I sent it without question. The file contained 3 months of testing data benchmarks, comparative analysis, everything that proved the system worked as intended. Thursday morning, I was walking past Derek's desk when I heard him on the phone. His back was to me, and he did not realize I was there. "Yeah, I have everything ready," he was saying into his headset. "The presentation will blow their minds. Trust me on this." I froze mid-step. Presentation. What presentation? I assumed he was talking about his own project, something unrelated to mine. But the timing felt weird. Why would he be preparing a major presentation the same week I was supposed to show Amanda my system? I tried to shake off the paranoia. Maybe I was just stressed, reading too much into innocent comments. Derek was a senior analyst. He probably had multiple projects running. This had nothing to do with me. Friday afternoon, the unease crystallized into something sharper. An email appeared in my inbox from CEO Gregory himself. It was sent to the entire analytics department. "Team excited to see the groundbreaking analytics project presentation Monday at 10 a.m. in the executive conference room. Great work, everyone. I read the email 3 times. Confusion mounting. Monday, but Amanda had said we were meeting Thursday. And why was the CEO involved? She had only mentioned it was for departmental innovations, not an executive presentation. I pulled up my email chain with Amanda, scrolling back through our correspondence. Her last message clearly said Thursday for our review meeting. Nothing about Monday, nothing about the CEO, nothing about an executive conference room. My hands felt cold. Something was very, very wrong. Monday morning, I arrived at the office at 9:30, a full 30 minutes before the 10 o'clock meeting. I wore my best suit, the charcoal gray one I saved for important occasions. My laptop bag contained everything I needed: my personal laptop with the complete system, a USB backup drive, printed documentation, and my leather portfolio filled with notes. The executive conference room was on the top floor, a space I had only been in twice before. It was all glass walls and polished mahogany with a massive table that could seat 20 people. When I walked in at 9:45, several people were already there. CEO Gregory sat at the head of the table, a man in his late 50s with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Next to him was Patricia from HR, Amanda, the VP of Technology, and 3 senior managers I recognized but had never directly worked with. My teammates from the analytics department filed in, taking seats along the sides. Derek arrived right at 9:55. He carried a slim laptop bag and looked completely calm, like this was just another Tuesday. He took the seat directly across from me and gave me a nod. "Big day," he said casually. "Yeah." I managed my throat tight. At exactly 10 o'clock, CEO Gregory cleared his throat. The room fell silent immediately. "Thank you all for being here. Today, Derek will present his innovative customer analytics system that promises to revolutionize how we handle data integration." The words hit me like a physical blow. His innovative system. I felt my body go rigid, every muscle locking up. My brain struggled to process what I had just heard. Derek, his system. Derek stood smoothly, connected his laptop to the projector at the front of the room. The screen flickered to life and the title slide appeared in crisp blue letters: Automated Customer Analytics System. Presented by Derek Richardson. No, this could not be happening. I looked at Amanda, desperate for her to correct this, to say something, anything. She was looking down at her notepad pen, poised, carefully avoiding eye contact with me. Derek began, speaking, his voice confident and clear. "Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. What I am about to show you represents 3 months of intensive development work." 3 months. My 3 months. The challenge we faced was integrating 5 disparate data sources into a unified automated analysis pipeline. Derek continued, advancing to the next slide. It was my architecture diagram, the exact diagram I had drawn, that I had shared with him, that I had spent 2 weeks perfecting. My hands started shaking. I gripped the edge of the table to steady them. Derek walked through the entire presentation with the ease of someone who genuinely understood the material. And of course, he understood it. I had explained every single piece to him. I had taught him the logic, walked him through the algorithms, answered every question he had asked. He was presenting my work using my own explanations, words I had spoken to him in trust. He showed the performance metrics. My test results. The numbers I had generated through hundreds of hours of testing. He explained the optimization techniques, the recursive functions, the edge case handling. All of it lifted directly from the documentation I had sent him. "I spent 3 months perfecting this system," Derek said, and the casual lie in his voice made my stomach turn. "Working early mornings and late nights to get it right, but I am proud of what I was able to accomplish." CEO Gregory leaned forward, clearly impressed. "Derek, this is exceptional work. The cost savings alone make this invaluable, but the scalability you have built in here opens up entirely new possibilities. This will save us hundreds of thousands of dollars." Derek offered a modest smile. "Thank you, sir. It was challenging, but extremely rewarding." The VP of Technology asked a technical question about database indexing. Derek answered it smoothly, using the exact terminology I had used when I explained it to him 2 weeks ago. I felt like I was drowning. The room seemed to tilt. This could not be real. This had to be some kind of nightmare I would wake up from. But it was real. Derek kept talking. The executives kept nodding. And I kept sitting there, frozen, unable to form words. Finally, I could not take it anymore. My voice came out shaky, but I forced the words out. "Excuse me, I need to say something." The room went quiet. Everyone turned to look at me. CEO Gregory raised an eyebrow. "Yes, Marcel." I took a breath, trying to steady myself. This is my project. I built this system. The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever. Then Derek spoke, his voice perfectly calm, almost sympathetic. "Marcel helped with some of the data entry work. I definitely appreciate his support on this." Data entry. He just reduced 3 months of my life to data entry. I felt heat rush to my face. Data entry, I designed every piece of this. I wrote every line of code. Amanda finally spoke up, her voice measured. "Marcel, Derek briefed me last week about this project. He showed me everything, walked me through the architecture and implementation. I understand you assisted with some components. I emailed you every single week for 3 months. My voice was rising now, desperation creeping in. 47 detailed progress reports. Those were updates on the tasks Derek assigned you." Amanda said, her tone growing firmer. "I appreciate your contributions to Derek's project, but let's be clear about roles here." Tasks Derek assigned me, I stared at her, stunned. Derek had gotten to her first. He had rewritten the entire narrative, made himself the architect and me the assistant. And she believed him. CEO Gregory shifted in his chair, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. "Let's not make this awkward. We can discuss role attribution and team dynamics internally after this presentation. Derek, please continue." I sank back into my chair, my face burning. The rest of the presentation passed in a blur. I heard Derek's voice but could not process the words. I saw slides flash by my work displayed like trophies he had won. When it finally ended, there was applause. Actual applause. CEO Gregory stood and shook Derek's hand, congratulating him on truly innovative work. I walked out of that conference room in a daze. My teammates avoided looking at me. They knew. They had to know. We all sat in the same area. They had seen me working those insane hours. But no one said a word. No one wanted to get involved in what looked like a junior analyst having a meltdown. Back at my desk, I sat down heavily in my chair. My hands were still trembling. I felt hollowed out, like someone had reached inside and scooped out everything that mattered. Derek walked past a few minutes later. He paused at my desk and I felt his hand land on my shoulder. "No hard feelings, buddy. You will get your chance someday. Just keep working hard." I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab him by his perfectly pressed collar and demand he tell the truth. But I just sat there, paralyzed by shock and betrayal. He walked away, and I stared at my blank computer screen. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed, replaying everything. The presentation, Derek's lies, Amanda's refusal to believe me, the CEO's dismissal. Every moment felt like another knife twisting. Around 3 in the morning, something shifted. The despair started hardening into resolve. I sat up in bed, my mind suddenly sharp and clear. I had evidence. I had proof. I got out of bed, grabbed my laptop from the kitchen table, and sat down on my couch. For the next 3 hours, I worked with a focus I had never experienced before. This was not about building something new. This was about proving what I had already built. I started compiling everything. Every email I had sent Amanda over 3 months. I went through my sent folder, chronologically pulling 47 detailed progress reports. Each one time-stamped, each one describing specific technical decisions, challenges overcome, milestones reached. Every single one sent from my email address addressed to Amanda weeks and months before Derek claimed to have started the project. I opened my Google Drive. The project folder I had created showed a complete history. I was listed as the owner. The creation date was 12 weeks ago. Every document inside showed my edit history, time-stamped entries showing exactly when I had written each section, made each change, added each diagram. GitHub was even more damning. I pulled up the commit history for the code repository. Hundreds of commits, every single one attributed to my username. The timestamps showed steady work over 3 months, often in the early morning hours or late at night. Every line of code traceable back to me. I went through my Slack message history with Derek. There it was in black and white. Messages where I explained technical concepts to him. Screenshots where I answered his questions about specific algorithms. Conversations where he explicitly asked me to send him documentation so he could learn from me. I found the email chain where I had requested special server access from the IT department to run large-scale tests. I found calendar entries where I had booked the testing lab at 6 in the morning, week after week. I created a new folder and organized everything chronologically, week 1 through week 12. For each week, I compiled the relevant emails, code commits, document edits, Slack conversations, everything that proved I was the one doing the work. Then I created a master timeline document, 87 pages. Every milestone, every decision point, every piece of evidence cross-referenced and time-stamped. It read like a prosecutor's case file because that is exactly what it was. By 6 in the morning, I had a complete dossier that irrefutably proved the project was mine. Not partially mine, not collaborative. Mine. At 8 o'clock, I walked into the HR office. Patricia, the HR director, was just arriving. She was a no-nonsense woman in her early 50s, known for being fair but tough. Patricia, I need to file a formal complaint about intellectual property theft and workplace misconduct. I said, my voice steady. Her expression shifted immediately from morning pleasantries to professional seriousness. Come into my office. I sat across from her desk and opened my laptop. For the next 30 minutes, I walked her through everything. I showed her the email chains, the GitHub commits, the Google Drive history, the Slack messages. I showed her how Derek had systematically gathered information from me under the guise of mentorship, then presented it as his own work. Patricia's expression grew darker as she reviewed each piece of evidence. She asked pointed questions. I answered each one, clearly pulling up the relevant documentation to support my responses. When I showed her the Slack messages where Derek explicitly asked me to teach him my methodology, her jaw tightened. When I showed her the GitHub commits proving I had written every line of the code, she leaned back in her chair. "This is very serious," she said finally. "I need to conduct a formal investigation immediately. Marcel, I need you to not discuss this with anyone. Do not confront Derek, do not talk to Amanda, do not mention this to your teammates. Let me handle this through proper channels." I nodded. "I understand. Send me everything you just showed me. I will need copies of all documentation." I had already prepared a shared folder. I gave her access right there, and she spent another 10 minutes reviewing files on her own screen. "I will be in touch," she said. "This may take a few days." I walked out of HR feeling lighter than I had in days. Not victorious, not happy, just less crushed. At least someone was listening. At least someone was taking this seriously. The next 3 days were surreal. I came to work, sat at my desk, tried to focus on routine tasks. Around me, life went on as normal. My teammates made small talk. Derek worked at his desk like nothing had happened. Amanda held team meetings where she praised Derek's innovation. But I noticed things. Derek got called up to HR on Tuesday afternoon. He was gone for over an hour. When he came back, his confident demeanor looked slightly shaken. Wednesday, he got called again. This time when he returned, his face was tight-stressed. Amanda also got summoned to HR on Wednesday. She was up there for 90 minutes. When she came back to the department, she looked exhausted. No one said anything to me, but I could feel the shift like pressure building before a storm. Thursday afternoon, I got an email from Patricia. "Please come to my office at 4 o'clock. I walked up to HR at 3:55, my heart pounding. Patricia was waiting in her office. She gestured for me to sit, then closed the door. "Marcel, we have completed our investigation. I want to update you on the findings." I held my breath. "Your evidence is irrefutable," she said simply. "The GitHub commit history alone proves beyond any doubt that you authored the code. The Google Drive timestamps the email correspondence with Amanda. The Slack messages, all of it corroborates your account completely." Relief flooded through me so intense I felt dizzy. "We confronted Derek yesterday with the evidence," Patricia continued. "Initially, he tried to claim that because he had mentored you and guided the project direction he deserved co-credit. But when we showed him the timestamps, the commit logs, the documentation history, he could not maintain that position. The evidence shows you working independently. His involvement was limited to periodic check-ins where you explained your work to him." "What about Amanda?" I asked. Patricia's expression hardened. "Amanda made a serious error in judgment. Derek approached her last week before the CEO presentation and convinced her that he had been leading the project with you as his assistant. She accepted his characterization without verifying the facts. Your weekly emails to her, which clearly show you as the primary developer, were sitting in her inbox the entire time. She should have checked them. So what happens now? Derek Richardson's employment has been terminated effective immediately for theft of intellectual property and fraud. This is not a gray area. What he did was steal your work and lie to executive leadership about it. That is grounds for immediate dismissal." I felt a rush of emotions. Vindication, anger, sadness, relief, all tangled together. "Amanda will receive a formal written warning for negligence in supervision and failure to verify information before escalating to executive leadership. She is a good manager in many ways, but she failed you badly in this instance." "Thank you," I managed. "Thank you for taking this seriously." "You made it easy by having such thorough documentation," Patricia said. "That is what saved you, Marcel. If you had not kept those records, this would have been your word against his, and that is always difficult to resolve. But you had proof, incontrovertible proof." Friday afternoon, CEO Gregory called me up to his office. I had never been in the executive suite before. His office was corner window with a view of downtown Austin stretching out below. He stood when I entered and extended his hand. "Marcel, I owe you an apology." I shook his hand, surprised by the gesture. "HR has briefed me on the full situation," he continued. "What Derek did was unconscionable. And what you built is remarkable. I am sorry that your moment of recognition was stolen from you." "Thank you, sir." "We are implementing your system company-wide starting next month. And, effective immediately, you are promoted to Senior Data Analyst with a 20% salary increase." My breath caught. "Sir, I did not do this for a promotion." "I know, but you deserve it. Additionally, you will receive a $15,000 bonus for the project's impact on company operations." I did not know what to say. The vindication felt good, but it was not triumphant. It was just tired relief. "Your documentation practices are exceptional," Gregory said. "That level of professionalism is rare, especially at your experience level. It saved your reputation and your career. I hope you continue to demonstrate that kind of rigor." "I will, sir. Thank you." Derek cleaned out his desk that afternoon. Security escorted him out of the building's standard procedure for immediate terminations. He walked past my desk carrying a cardboard box with his personal items. Our eyes met for just a second. He looked down and kept walking. I did not feel the satisfaction I thought I would. Mostly, I just felt sad. Sad that someone I had trusted, someone I had looked up to, had been willing to destroy me for his own advancement. Sad that it had come to this. Amanda approached me privately later that day. "Marcel, I owe you an apology. I should have verified before I accepted Derek's version of events. I failed you as a manager, and I am sorry." "I appreciate that," I said. "I meant it. Anger did not feel productive anymore. 2 weeks later, I gave the presentation I should have given on that Monday. This time, the executive conference room was filled for the right reasons. My name was on every slide. When I finished, there was applause, genuine and earned. CEO Gregory stood and shook my hand in front of everyone. "This is the kind of innovation that drives our success. Well done, Marcel." Standing ovation. I felt my eyes sting, but kept my composure. The months that followed were a process of healing. The betrayal had cut deeper than I wanted to admit. I found myself suspicious of colleagues' intentions, questioning whether people were genuinely interested in my work or just looking for opportunities to take credit. It was not a good way to live. But gradually, things got better. My new teammates were supportive. The promotion meant working with different people, and their integrity reminded me that Derek was an outlier, not the norm. I learned to protect my work without becoming paranoid. I still documented everything, but now I understood it was not just about covering myself. It was about respecting the effort I put in honoring the hours and sacrifice that went into creating something valuable. 6 months after the incident, a new junior analyst joined our team. Her name was Rachel, and she reminded me of myself 2 years earlier, eager, talented, a little overwhelmed. I took her under my wing. One day, as I was showing her how to structure a data pipeline, she asked, "Do you mind if I share my screen and show you what I have built so far?" "Of course," I said. "But Rachel, let me give you some advice. Always keep detailed records of your work. Document your code commits. Save your emails. Keep a log of your progress. Trust your colleagues but verify everything. And never assume your work will speak for itself. Sometimes you have to be its voice." She looked a little confused but nodded. "Okay. Why though?" I smiled. "Because your work deserves to be protected. Your effort deserves to be recognized. And if anyone ever tries to take credit for what you built, you will need proof to back up the truth." I thought about Derek sometimes. I wondered if he regretted what he did, if he understood the magnitude of his betrayal. But mostly, I did not think about him at all. He was a chapter that closed, a lesson learned. The real lesson was not about guarding against theft. It was about valuing myself enough to document my contributions, to stand up when wronged, to believe that truth backed by evidence could win against deception. Now, whenever I start a new project, I still document meticulously. Not because I am afraid, because I respect the work, because I respect myself, and because I learned that silence in the face of injustice only allows injustice to win. The receipts I kept that day did not just prove my case. They proved that doing the right thing, keeping records, maintaining integrity, these things matter. They proved that you do not have to accept being erased. Your work deserves to be protected. Your truth deserves to be heard. And sometimes the receipts you keep today become the justice you need tomorrow. Have you ever had someone try to take credit for your work? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments. I would love to hear how others have dealt with workplace betrayal. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life experiences about standing up for yourself. Share this with anyone who needs to hear that documentation, and truth can win. Thank you for listening, and remember, always keep your receipts. You never know when you will need them.